right now. He spent 45 minutes talking to the FBI last night about what they did and didn't get from their 2011 interview. Senator Graham, what did you conclude out of talking to the FBI about what they knew about the bombing suspects?
Well, after talking to the assistant director of the FBI, I think they did a pretty good job of following the lead. The Russians requested that we look at this guy. They interviewed him, they interviewed his parents, they interviewed the people he went to school with. They did a very thorough search of the system to see if anything popped up. And they wrote the Russians back with all the information they gathered and said, do you have anything else? And the Russians never responded. And he went over to Russia, but apparently when he got on the Aeroflot plane, they misspelled his name, so it never went into the system that he actually went to Russia.
Well, let me get this straight, Senator, because yesterday you said on television that the FBI dropped the ball, but now you're saying the FBI did what? As much as they could under the circumstances?
I said one of two things happened. The FBI either dropped the ball or our system doesn't allow the FBI to follow this guy in an appropriate fashion. I think once the Russians made the request, the FBI did a good job of looking at him. The reason we didn't know he went to Russia is because the name was misspelled. But in 2012 and 13, when he became more radical, when he went on the internet, when he interacted with this imam in Boston, the FBI tells me there's limitations on what they can do in situations like that. So we need to revisit our laws. We're at war with radical Islam. Why did they do what they did in Boston? They think we're a Christian nation, that we're colonial power, that we're infidels. They hate us because of who we are. That's why they're trying to kill us. They don't want our money. They don't want our property. The sooner we realize that we're at war with radical Islam and come up with systems to defend ourselves, the better we off will be. I don't want a police state, but I want a nation where the police can protect us.
So how should he be charged, Senator? Because you've been on record as saying he should be designated as an enemy combatant. Other police commissioners on the show this morning have said they're really not in that camp just yet. Why do you think he should be?
Well, we don't know if he's an enemy combatant yet, and we're not going to know by Monday or Tuesday. It took us weeks or months to figure out 9/11. He has to go to federal court, in my view. He's not eligible for military commission trial because he's an American citizen. I wrote the Military Commission Act of 2009. He will go to federal court. He will get all the rights associated. I could care less about the trial. A first-year law student could do this trial. I want to gather intelligence. What does he know about terrorist organizations within our country? Does he know of other terrorist activity that may be coming our way? That's a national security inquiry. As an enemy combatant, he's a potential enemy combatant. He has ties with overseas terrorists. He's clearly a radical Islamist. I would hold him under that theory when the public safety exception expires. That's very limited. That was a rape case where a guy had an empty holster. They were allowed to question him about where the gun is. That's not to gather intelligence. You're not entitled to a lawyer. And this idea, the only way we can question him about national security matters is to go through his lawyer, turns over to the terrorist and their lawyer controlling information to protect us all. That's crazy.
I know.
That is absolutely crazy. This man should be held and questioned under the law of war. The information can't be used against him, but it can be used to help us. And a citizenship doesn't give you immunity from the law of war. If you take up arms or hostile acts against the nation, you can be killed or captured. That's the law. I've been a military lawyer for 30 years. That's not even a doubt.
And your argument would have been a lot easier with the other suspect had he not died, because he was not an American citizen.
Well, there is no doubt. In World War II, when American citizens helped the Germans, they were hung. We had Padilla in jail for 4 years because he was working with Al-Qaeda. There is no law that says an American citizen can help the enemy with impunity. That's never been the law. If you join the enemy, if you're an American citizen thinking about helping Al-Qaeda, let me give you some advice. You can be killed or captured, and if you're captured, you can be held for interrogation under the law of war as long as necessary. You can go to a habeas judge and ask to be released, but you don't have any right to kill us and be immune from the law of war.
Senator, Chairman Rogers yesterday, an FBI guy before he became chairman, said he thought they traveled under an alias. Could this intentional misspelling have happened? Did he intentionally get his name misspelled because he was coy about our system?
I don't know. They say that Aeroflot gave us the information. But could he have done it? Yes. I don't know. What the FBI told me sounded very reasonable. But the FBI's hands are tied here when it comes to following radical Islamist websites. And we're at war, folks. And if we don't realize it, there's going to be more of this. They're trying to recruit American citizens. This idea that if you can find an American to help kill us, they're somehow have a legal safe haven is ridiculous. When American citizens sided with the enemies in other wars, they were treated as an enemy combatant. They should be here. That's been the law for a very long time. Trust me, this is one area I'm very familiar with.
You are indeed. Exit question. Do you the father apparently wants, at least, perhaps some other as well, wants to come back to the United States to visit with their terrorist child. Should they be allowed?
No, I have no problem. We've got people in custody all over the world as enemy combatants. I don't care if his family visits him. I want to make sure that we have the time to get the information to protect ourselves. The evidence I'm looking for is not of his innocence or guilt. To me, that's not even a concern. I want to know what he knows, and that takes time. You can't do that between now and Monday, and no lawyer is allowed to be present. When we're trying to defend ourselves against enemy attacks, you don't give people lawyers. Lawyers are for criminal process. We're talking about national security information being gathered here, and you don't have a right to a lawyer there.
All right, and you say you're going to call the Attorney General today to let him know how you think about this. Senator Lindsey Graham, thanks so much for the breaking news and the update on your opinions on that. Thank you so much.